Welcome back to Workshop Wednesday. I'm Chelsea Blessingmeyer, and as you can see, I'm not in my workshop today as we get to go and take a tour of another workshop. A friend of mine has taken up leather work and over the last few years has expanded, and I haven't seen his workshop yet. And we are actually today in northern Alberta, not far from where I grew up, and I get to take a little peek finally into his workshop. Now, when I was in school, I got to take a little peek in a leather workshop they had at the school I went to and use a few different kind of specialty machines. And there are different techniques that you do use when working with leather. And I've only done a few small projects myself, so I'm excited to see what he has and what we can learn about sewing and leather today. This is Brian, and he's going to chat a little bit about the tanning process. So I just found out there's two types of tanning. So what are the types of tanning that are available for?
Well, the one type is the natural way of tanning, and it's called vegetable tan because it uses all natural products from, not from vegetables necessarily, but from tree bark and things like that. And it's a process that takes usually a couple of months or so to tan a hide to the point where you can actually use it. And the other way of doing it is chrome tanned. There's a chemical called chromium. It's been done for several generations now. That chemical has been around and it speeds things up. You can tan a hide in a few days.
Wow,
but it's also
so
not a very substantially faster, substantially cheaper, and probably 95% of the world's leather is actually chrome tanned and not vegetable tanned.
So we've made a big transition in like the last 100 years in how our leather products are actually produced.
Yeah, it used to be all vegetable tanned, and in the last 100 years or so it's changed to chrome tanned.
Yeah, and we were just chatting too about just the history of leather and how long it's been around, and it isn't actually really even known, I guess, how long, just because hides have been in use since the beginning of time. And so why don't you share just a couple things about like the benefits of the vegetable tanning?
Well, one benefit is that it's just a lot environmentally friendlier. So it's all natural products that are used, and so there's nothing that's poisonous or whatever that goes into the environment. And unfortunately, much of the world's leather is produced in places where there's not a whole lot of regulation, like in India or South America or China. And when they use chrome tanned leather, it just goes into the sewer, into the water supply, into the river. And the people that are doing the tanning oftentimes have no protection. Sometimes they're still walking in these vats with their feet stomping on the hides in these chemicals, and so that's not a very positive thing. So vegetable tanned leather is a lot healthier. Now there's tanneries in North America that do chrome tanned, and they have very strict regulations for disposing of the materials and for their workers. And so I do get chrome tanned leather, but I try and make sure that it comes from some place that's actually safe. Responsible
tanning.
Exactly. The other advantage of vegetable tanned leather is that you can tool it, which means that you can carve into it, you can put stamping into it, whatever patterns. You can't do that with chrome tanned leather. So you can do that with vegetable tanned leather.
So you can't do any kinds of design work at all with the chrome tanning?
You can, like you could laser engrave it, for example, but again, you've got chemicals in there. And if you're going to be laser engraving chrome tanned leather, you need to have really good ventilation. Otherwise, it's a very dangerous process. So you don't have that problem with vegetable tanned leather if you're laser engraving, for example.
Yeah. So the majority of the leather that you work with is the vegetable tan.
Yes.
And it's interesting here just feeling, so this is a vegetable tan hide?
This is a vegetable tanned hide. This is not quite a full side. I cut a piece off this end and a piece off that end. Most of the time I buy a sides at a time, and a side averages about 20 square feet. So that's half a cow.
Wow.
Is a side of leather.
Big animals.
Yep.
It's an interesting just to see the difference and of how the different mediums and the different materials
this is the natural color of leather when it has not been stained in any way or colored. So one thing that's interesting that a lot of people don't know is that genuine leather is not really leather. Well, by law, it has to contain a minimum of 50%. So 51% leather is allowed to be called genuine leather. And the way that's often produced is they take remnants from all over the place, leather remnants, and they shred them, and then they combine it with kind of a glue and paint it afterwards, and that is genuine leather.
So press it back together. So
yeah, it's the press board, the particle board of the leather world.
Exactly. I was just gonna say, it sounds like particle board. So then, how it, like the durability factor and just like the wear and properties of that type of leather, how does it compare to?
You maybe get 2 or 3 years out of a genuine leather belt. Now, sometimes I've seen belts that have stamped on it genuine leather, and they really are full grain leather. They're really good leather. So it's unfortunate because lots of us who know about leather, we read genuine leather and we right away assume it's not good leather. Yeah, exactly. And usually after 2 or 3 years or with some use, it starts to separate. The top layer, which is just kind of painted on, starts to peel off, and those things just don't last.
So separating is a good key. So what are like some keys as consumers for knowing the difference of like, is this leather maybe like a chrome tan or vegetable tan, or is this pressboard leather or like true genuine leather? Is there any good tricks or
usually you can tell by the feel of it, but that comes with spending time with the medium. It's not always easy to tell just by looking at it. No,
especially when like things are new.
Yeah, especially when things are new, because once we've stained vegetable tanned leather, it can have the same color as chrome tanned leather and look very much the same, and you can't really tell the difference. So it's really important that you just know and trust whoever it is you're buying from, that if you want vegetable tanned leather, that's what they're actually using.
And also a genuine leather. Is there a different term that like is used for leather that is true leather?
So true leather, there's different names for it. The one is full grain, which means from the top down, it is the complete grain, including mosquito bites that you can see sometimes, or bug bites, brands, scratches, injuries of the cow. Like you'll see those things. It has not been in any way changed from the top down. That's called full grain leather. Then there's top grain leather, which is also the top part of the hide, the outside, the grain side, but it's been sanded down, so it's often a lot smoother. But it still has the same really good properties. Yeah, and so after that, you get, if the top has been completely taken off, then you have suede. Yeah. Or if it's the other one, it's called genuine leather. Yeah.
Okay. So just be careful when you come in contact with genuine leather if you're looking for a full grain leather.
Full grain or top grain is your true actual leather.
Full grain or top grain. Those aren't interchanged with any kind of counterfeit.
No, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, those are great tips. Thank you so much for having us, for hosting me for this visit, and for sharing some tips with my audience.
Awesome. Yeah, you're very welcome.
I wish I could have shared my whole trip with you. I was actually in the shop there for over 2 hours learning all different things about tooling leather, and that is when you work with the leather. He was explaining, and there's 2 different ways you can actually carve it, where you're using little knives and tools to create 3D impressions, or stamping the leather. So different techniques there. I also got to see some really cool antique sewing machines, one of which had a swivel foot. So the foot itself can actually turn in every direction and create stitches. So for going around tight little corners, that would be like so cool, even for a regular machine, if your foot could actually move around and we could get around corners. The other thing I got to see was a little money pouch made out of leather that one of his great uncles or some relative had made about 100 years ago, and it was still around, and he still had it in his workshop. And I think that's so cool when we think about different uses, different mediums, different materials. That leather, when it's cared for when it's used well, that these materials can last for a really long time. If we think about any kind of synthetic leather, yes, it doesn't come from an animal, and I think we do need to be really respectful with what our use of animal products is, yet also respectful for the planet and what kind of plastic products that we're creating. And I know fake leathers often do have a lot of chemicals. I just saw another review about fast fashion products and this little leather jacket for toddlers with heavy levels of lead in it. So I think it's really important to just evaluate what our consumption level is, what we're using, and how it's affecting our planet, and how we can maybe create products that we can use a little longer. I do hope you enjoyed this episode of Workshop Wednesday and this beautiful fall day that I'm having here. Till next time, take care and happy sewing.